So we're scouting this out ahead of tomorrow. At certain times of year, or when we get the spring tides, which there's only 4 or 5 of them a year, but at certain tides or certain tide heights above 8 meters, what we get is the estuary floods out and fills the creeks on the landward side of the road in this salt marsh. I think it's technically still below that high water mark, so it's still what you would call proper wildfowling. So we're hoping to flight this tomorrow around a similar time of day, but it's incredibly warm and unusual. My idea is to make a hide in that kind of little hillock of gorse bushes, and there's a little dog leg of the creek system right in that far corner between here and in line with those houses where the ducks often flight into. Whether they will tomorrow or not is another story, but if it's like this, it'll just be a nice day off from work sitting in the sun. I think I can see some ducks in the kind of brown undergrowth of that, in that far. There is some, there's something flying in there now. I think they're mallard. So they're looking like they're going into roughly where we're going to be trying tomorrow. We'll follow them around. So yeah, there'll be enough. There should be enough action just to make things slightly interesting, and if we end up with a mallard or two for the pot, that's all we're after. Watch where they're going. Decoys are all dusted off, painted up, so I'll see you tomorrow. So there's a big flock of greylags a good way up the estuary there on both sides of the channel, just loafing about. With a bit of luck they'll get pushed off by the tide and come back down this way. You never know, we might get them flying out towards one of the stubbles. Give us a bonus shot, get some burger meat. So in about 2.5 hours this is all going to flood, and hopefully flood all the fields and in the back of that little hillock there with the gorse bushes. And so I'm thinking we're going to set up just round the corner, try and intercept anything coming in. So I've got some of these final approach widgeon decoys, and they're really good, fairly lifelike, made in America. The one thing that I kind of added to, I guess, so a little improvement in my mind anyway that I made, is that they don't have a big wing bar the way they come from the factory. So I just get some acrylic paint and paint on a slightly bigger, more obvious wing bar. Obviously some people think that the attractant in ducks and waterfowl is the wing bars and the flashy bits, so I've just added to them slightly. I've also labelled up my decoys, so I've got long and short ones, so it's just a bit more obvious when I'm detangling them and setting them out which are on the long strings and which are on the shorter ones. So. That's more like it. Bit of natural foliage. Just helps break up the pattern of the net and my outline, so makes it just blend in a wee bit more. So there is actually a shotgun under all that tat. There's ATEC moderator on the end. Standard shot cam with the moderator adapter, but even then it wasn't quite long enough or deep enough to clear this ATEC A12 adapter. So I basically got a bit of aluminium pipe, similar gauge to the barrel, taped it on, and then that just allowed it to jump down a wee bit so that it clears the moderator. And even then you can still see the moderator in the ceiling of the shot, as you'll hopefully see. Goodies wise, apart from my coffees, we've got subsonic bismuth. That's 32 gram heavier load. Most of them are 1 ounce high tensile bismuth, subsonics. We've got some just bog standard 3-inch size 3 steel, zinc coated steel, in case we really run out of bullets, which is very unlikely, and if there's something wrong if we do. Also, just in case geese start milling about, I've bought some heavy loads for the geese. Well, 1 1/8 ounce 32 gram number 7s, just in case those geese give us a chance. We'll try and hurriedly load them up. So while we're waiting for the ducks to turn up and the tide to come flooding in, I'll just make a few comments about shooting at dusk here. There's been quite a few comments and a bit of feedback from mostly American viewers who query how we can shoot so late at night, and that would be illegal in the States. And it would be, because in the States they have strict shooting times, which, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments section, is that they can only shoot up into half an hour after sunset and not before half an hour before sunrise in the morning. Over here we don't have those restrictions. There's no restrictions on shooting times. We can shoot right through the night under the moon if we choose in the UK. We wouldn't get much shooting if we did have those restrictions. I don't know why, but ducks, considering they're the same species in the northern hemisphere and they come from the Arctic, they seem to flight very differently in the UK and in Europe than they do in the States. Over there they do seem to flight much earlier in the evening and much later in the morning after sunrise. They don't generally do that here, certainly inland in places where they flight into. Places like this, estuaries and salt marshes, is different because they're getting pushed around by the tide at all kinds of day. But mostly, certainly around here in my 30 odd years of shooting and flighting ducks, is that ducks generally only start to flight at night around about, and it's very roughly around about half an hour after sunrise. That's usually how I kind of set my timings to go out in the evening. I'd like to be there at sunrise, so I've got half an hour to set up, etc, etc. In the morning, they're usually, it's the reverse, and they're flighting back into marsh areas and the sea and the coast and estuaries well before sunrise. And so, yeah, we're not acting illegally, we just don't have the restrictions. And it's strange, I've never worked that out, whether it's because it's evolved behaviour over 2 or 3 centuries that we've been shooting wildfowl here since the inception of the muzzle loading gun. But who knows? It would be nice if they did. Well, it maybe isn't for the conservation of the species. It's maybe good that ducks don't fly earlier in the day and later in the morning. But so I hope that clears that up. It's just the way it's done over here. We need to have good night vision, put it that way. Anyway, again, just leave comments if you want anything clarified like that. But yeah, it's all kosher. Well, you can't beat this. Beef jerky, cold Cumberland sausage, flat white, sponsored by Costa. Sat in a duck hide on a scorching hot day on a Friday lunchtime and not at work. Well, sadly, that looks like it's it for the day. The tide's turned and it's going back out. Not much action at all, really. Yesterday we saw some mallard flighting around, but nothing today apart from a flock of pink-feet geese that seemed in two minds as to whether they were going to come in, but they didn't. So yeah, oh well, can't win them all, and we'll pack up and try again somewhere else. Well, we're set up, probably in a better place. I have been here before, and the good thing about this location is we're facing back north the other way. We're not looking into the sun. Can at least see teal coming up the main creek. So even if no mallard or widgeon fly, there hopefully should be a few teal whizzing up like there was yesterday. So we were in those in the end of that goose mound yesterday, looking into that back eddy bit. Got the decoy set up in, as you can tell, in just some kind of fashion that makes them float. Please leave comments down below if you can think I can set the decoys up better. My usual philosophy is just try to make them float and look like a duck in clusters. So this corner's gonna fill up and hopefully it'll look like a nice little cluster of widgeon in here. So let's see what happens. With me my muddy gutter widgeon call. If you're after a widgeon call, you can do far worse than this. I've had a few widgeon calls over the years, but this is my favourite just for ease of use, etc. Yeah, so details down below or at the end of the film for muddy gutter calls. Well, I think that's just about wraps it up for today. Another blank, although it shouldn't have been a blank. the safety catch malfunction, but still another nice day. Sat out here, but a wee bit of action would have been nice. There's not much moving about really. I thought there might have been more with the wind today, but lots of traffic over the main estuary, but nothing seemingly leaving it for these side bits. So, hey-oh, until next time.